Okay, so we will start with the next chapter. I'm expecting you might have attended the session from Neetu ma'am. So she have already started with stratification, I think. So you might have completed that session. But I've promised you that I will repeat this so you will get the complete clarity of this particular topic. And that's the reason why we are starting this again. So here we will try to complete this chapter, stratification. Okay. No, at this point of time, it is impossible for me to go for the recap of the previous session. We will be starting with the new chapter. See, we have already discussed the first two chapters and the third chapter also. And I've also told you to attend a revision session from Neetu ma'am. So if you have not attended that, then I don't know. So it is not possible for me to explain all those things that we have discussed at this point of time. If it is required, maybe you can watch the video or you can attend that class also, that revision class which is going on that you can attend. Okay, so I request all of you to mute the video audio and also turn off your video also. Okay, so we'll start with this stratification, very important chapter, very important topic also, stratification. Actually, there is no sociology without this chapter. Stratification, it's all about, upper class, lower class, okay, all these divisions, middle class. We will see what are the different types of stratification and everything. Very important chapter. So these are the topics that we need to discuss under this particular chapter. We will see the concepts. What do you mean by stratification and what do you mean by social mobility? Mobility means, that word itself will tell you that movement of people. Okay, so we will discuss about what is mobility, what do you mean by inequalities, what is stratification, what is exclusion, what is poverty, hierarchy, everything will be discussed. Then the different dimensions of stratification. See, stratification can be on the basis of age, right? So it can be like in this class itself, if you see, there will be stratification on the basis of age. I can classify you people like 20 to those who are coming under, let's say 20 to 23, there will be a group. 23 to 28, there will be a group. 28 to 35, there will be a group, right? So this is what I mean by stratification, on the basis of age. Similarly, I can classify on the basis of class. You will see within this class itself, around this 70-80 people who are attending. So upper class, middle class, lower class, you can actually find, right? So there may be somebody who belong to this, and people, we can see all these. And race we won't discuss in the Indian context, but we will have to discuss that in this chapter anyway. Caste also, this also you will see in this class itself, like Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So that caste based stratification is also very common. And then ethnicity is all about culture, so that also we will see. Then we will discuss about the theories of stratification. There are functional theories and then conflict theory, and you have also this Weberian theory. Okay, so these are the three important theories that we need to discuss. So under this we will cover all the three. Then conflict theory we will discuss when we discuss about Karl Marx separately, when we start with the thinkers. So you might have already started with thinkers in Neetu ma'am session. Okay, so those who are attending that classes, you have already started with thinkers. So it is expected that you can attend that session, then it will be more easy and more it will be very easy to understand things, right? So then Weberian theory, this also I will discuss under Weber. Okay, so in this chapter we will be focusing on the functional theories of stratification, because I am going to connect things with the thinkers. And then why voice is not coming? Is it the problem with everyone? Can you just update this? Voice is coming or not?
Coming, sir.
Coming, sir.
Yeah. So Navneet, that's your problem maybe. Okay, then mobility. Mobility means movement, right? From this different stratas will be there, like upper class, right? Here this is upper class, then middle class, and then lower class. So mobility means it can be this movement. You born as a poor person, you becoming a rich person. So that is what mobility. And there are different types of mobility. And to achieve mobility, there are sources, like you can make income, you can get good job and you can get mobility. Education can be a source. Even marriage also can be a source, right? All these is what we are going to discuss here. So I hope you understood the brief idea or outline of what we are actually going to cover in this particular chapter. It's a very simple topic and very simple chapter. Once you understood this, you will get very good knowledge about sociology. And see, the way you are going to see things like inequalities and exclusion, poverty, deprivation, the way you have seen these concepts till now, and what you will understand about this in the future will be entirely different. You will even start thinking that to some extent inequality is required, inequality is functional for society. Okay, so that is about this functional theories. We will discuss that. So certain level of inequality is required in society. So you will even try to justify this inequalities and all after attending the session. Okay, so let's see the types of questions which they have asked. Social stratification and social inequalities, inequality and hierarchy, social exclusion. These are direct questions. Dimensions of stratification, functional theory, conflict theory, and Weberian theory. So you can see these all are direct questions. Okay, then functionalist theory on stratification, how Marxists react to it. So first you talk about functional theory, then you talk about Marxist theory. Both we are studying. Social mobility and then source of social mobility. Okay, so that's about the topics that we need to cover. So I hope you understood the topics that we are going to cover, and very important chapter. So what I'll do is, first we will discuss about the concept of inequality, okay, or rather social inequality. So understand it first. So from here I will take you to stratification. So what do you mean by inequality? See, there exist differences, right? When you say differences, when I am talking about male, female, okay, so there are some biological differences. Okay, so this biological differences, this is difference. When we say that biological, male, female, that based on sex, that is the differences. But when it will become inequality, see, this difference will become inequality when you impose certain values to these differences. See, there may be differences, right? The differences can be natural or social. This one example that I have given to you, that is a natural difference, male, female. That is a biological difference. Okay, so there is no inequality, there is no superiority or inferiority in that. Understand, when I am talking about inequality, there is an element of superiority or inferiority. But when I am talking about differences, there is no such superiority or inferiority or anything. There is a natural difference. It can be social difference also. For example, North India, South India, the kind of clothes that the people wear or the housing pattern, and all these are different. All these are differences. Can you say this is inequality? No, because there is no superiority or inferiority over there, right? The kind of dress people wear in North India and South India, we cannot say South is superior over North or North is superior over South, right? So that is what you mean by social difference. Natural difference means just this one which I have discussed about, the biological difference. So I hope you understood what you mean by difference. Now this difference will become inequality when some values are imposed on this. Now what do you mean by values? Values means, we have discussed this before also when we discussed about objectivity. Values means these are the ideas that we carry in our mind, okay, and based on which we decide the superiority, inferiority, preferability, rejection, the desirability, undesirability of anything. For example, when we say patriarchal value, okay, so then who is superior? Male is superior, okay, and female is inferior. So that is what you mean by superiority or inferiority. So values, patriarchal value means male is superior, female is inferior, or male is desirable, male child is desirable, female child is not desirable, male is preferred, female is not preferred, rejected, right? So when I say values means these are the ideas on the basis of which you evaluate a situation or you take a decision on something based on the superiority, inferiority. So when I say the superiority, inferiority, this kind of values will result into inequality. So I can say that differences are natural or social. It can be natural or social. I have given you two examples, but inequality is always social. It is socially created. Why it is socially created? Because this differences will become inequality when values are attached. So if there is no values are attached, there is no inequality. It will remain just as difference. There is no question of superiority or inferiority. There is no question of preferability or rejection. There is no question of desirability or undesirability of male over female or anything, right? So differences can be natural or social, but inequalities are always social. Inequalities are man-made. Okay, why I'm saying so? Because when I talk about this term inequality, there is some values which are attached to it. There are differences which are already present, but when you attach certain values to that differences, there will be inequality. So I can say that inequalities are always social. Differences may be natural or social, but inequality is always social. What is the precondition? There has to be attachment of value. Value means what? Superiority, inferiority, preferability, rejection, right? Desirability, undesirability, etc. So I hope you understood how difference become inequality. Now what we need to discuss is how inequality becomes stratification. Okay, now see, between each one of us, there are inequalities. There are different level of inequalities. There are different values are attached. But see, as a sociologist, it is impossible to study each and every instances of inequality. So what the sociologist will do is, will try to find pattern of inequality. For example, as I've told you before, in this class itself, we can see female, male. This is one pattern which you can identify. Upper class, middle class, lower class. This is another pattern which you can identify. This is pattern. Some of you will come to this, some of you will come here, some of you will come here. But again, if you take this, can be further within this also many different types inequalities will be there, but that individual instances is impossible. That is the reason why we categorize. We find a pattern and we categorize. Okay, so this is what you mean by stratification. When the inequalities are found or seen in a pattern, then we can say this is stratification. So what do you mean by stratification? Pattern of inequality is what you call as, or what you understand as stratification. So there are differences. When you attach values to these differences, it will become inequality. And if you find pattern of inequality, that is what stratification. For example, we in this group itself, maybe 22 will be there, 23 will be there, 24 will be there, 25 will be there, 26 will be there, like this will be there. But it is impossible to study each and every category, right? Each and every individual. So what I'll do, I'll classify, this is one group, 22 to 25, and then 26 to 30 another group, and 30 to 35 another group. Okay, so that is what you mean by pattern. You identify a pattern. It can be anything. It can be on the basis of age, it can be sex, it can be income, it can be caste, it can be anything. So when you see a pattern, that is what stratification. So when I say stratification, there definitely be an element of inequality. Whenever I say stratification, there is inequality, because inequality is seen in a pattern is what stratification. Okay, that means there are inequality which you can find in all types of stratification. Okay, so all stratifications, there will be some level of inequality, but not all inequalities will result into stratification. Why? Because you need a pattern. Only patterned inequality can be understood as stratification. If inequality is not seen in a pattern, then stratification will not be there. Okay, so I'll go for a quick recap. What I've started off with is the differences, and then it will become inequality when you attach certain values to these differences. So when I say, see the sex, that is what biological difference. But when I say gender, that is actually the social difference. Okay, so actually in the application form and all, what should be asking, they are supposed to ask sex, because they need to know the biological difference. Actually gender term should not have been used over there, but people don't know, and only as a sociologist we know now that difference, right? So when we use the word gender, some kind of values are attached. So when values are attached, it becomes inequality, and if it is patterned, then stratification. So can all inequalities will be termed as stratification? No. What is required? Pattern. Can all difference become inequality? No. What is required? Values. Right? So differences, like what I've told you, male female difference, that's not inequality. What is required? Some values. Male are superior. Male is desirable. Right? Then it becomes inequality. I hope this is clear. Now there are different steps also that we can go through when we discuss about the PDF. So whatever we have discussed so far, I'll just go through the PDF and you will understand it better. Social inequality. Every society contains differences on the basis of various attributes which characterize our social life. These attributes are either natural or socially created. Thus, the whole society is composed of people having natural or social differences. I've given you the example for natural difference and also social difference. Right, natural difference is what I've told you, female, male, etc. Social difference, rich, poor, that is also a social difference. The housing patterns, right, the dress styles, everything. These differences are not only seen at the individual level, but also seen at the level of groups. In every society, some values are attached to some of these differences. There's a very key word. When values are attached to the differences, then it will become inequality, right? The values like superiority, inferiority, preferability, rejection. Guys, please unmute your mic. Ganesh.
Sorry, sir.
Desirability, undesirability are often attached to these differences. The attachment of these values result in what? Social evaluation of these differences. Thus, the attachment of values to these differences will result in inequality. So, I hope this is clear. Difference, when values are there, it will result into inequality. Okay, so this is the connection which you need to remember. That's it. Thus, the nature produce differences, but man create inequality. I hope this is clear to you, right? Rather, the differences are natural or social, but inequalities are always social. Social inequalities exist in every society, either at the level of individual or at the level of group. There are certain inequalities which are not felt at the local level, but their presence is felt at the level of whole society. It means that the whole society tends to accept these inequalities as a standard of evaluation. It is virtually impossible for a sociologist to study each and every instances of individual inequalities. Thus, for the purpose of analysis, patterns of inequalities are identified. So this is a keyword here. Patterns of inequalities are identified which are present at the level of whole society. For example, you can identify some patterns which are present in the entire class, right? Similarly, if you extend that society, these patterns of inequalities are what you call as stratification. So I repeat, differences will become inequality, will become stratification. Difference will become inequality when values are attached. Inequality will become stratification when there is a pattern. Not all inequalities are stratification. What is required? Pattern. Not all differences are inequality. What is required? Values. The concept is very important, guys. Once you know that, then this chapter is going to be very simple. Okay. Thus, every social stratification is based on inequalities, but not every instance of social inequalities can be understood as social stratification. I hope this is clear. Why? Because what you need, patterns of inequalities is required for the stratification. In simple terms, social stratification can be defined as a system of social ranking in the form of stratas involving relations of superiority and inferiority. The term is borrowed from geology on the basis of identification of an analogy between the inner layers of earth and the abstract layers of people existing in society. You know that earth structure, right? It is like that only. It is a mental construct and an analytical tool to visualize the pattern of inequalities in the form of stratas. Stratas are understood to be ranked in a particular hierarchical order. So I hope this is clear, because when you say upper class, middle class, lower class, this is the rank that you're talking about. So this is a hierarchy that you're talking about. Okay. Further, apart from understanding inequalities, social stratification also becomes basis for understanding the distribution of rewards, privileges, benefits in the society. Why this upper class people are always getting the benefits in the society. We will try to see that in the theories. Thus, the process of stratification can be understood in terms of 4 stages. These 4 stages are very important but very simple. Differentiation. Now see here, This word itself will tell you what is that. There exist some differences. So at the first we are talking about what? Differences. It can be natural or it can be social, right? We have understood that. Then what is the second step? These differences will not remain just like differences. For example, male, female. How long it will remain as difference? Not long time, right? What will happen over a period of time? Some comparisons will start. That's what I mean by values. Some comparisons will start like male is muscular and male is doing this kind of job, so male is superior, like that, right? So over a period of time, the comparisons will start and some informal ranking will happen. Remember, here informal, at the individual level, right? Between us, maybe we will say some small section, not at the level of whole society. At the individual level, at the micro level, some ranking will happen. Evaluation. This means at the societal level, after some time, this same ranking will happen at the societal level also. So societal level evaluation, that means cultural level evaluation will happen. And then what will happen? This rank order will become formalized. Here it is informal, here it becomes formalized and institutionalized. Okay, and the entire society will tend to accept that this rank order is correct. In this context, male is superior. Okay, so this cultural evaluation will happen and the rank order become formalized and institutionalized. And what will happen then? It will be also transmitted from one generation to the other through cultural reproduction. Okay, so it will be transmitted to the next generation. Rewarding, on the basis of that, you will get the rewards and privileges. For example, Brahmins are getting the rewards, privileges, etc. Upper caste is getting the privileges, etc. Right? So, and that actually helps in continuing the system. When upper caste is getting those rewards and privileges in the society, people want to become the upper caste, upper class, right? So that is actually helping in continuation. So let's see that differentiation involve the presence of differences which are recognized in society. It can be in terms of natural difference like sex or race, etc. It can be social difference, exists in every society. These differences are often assigned certain positions or roles. For example, male will do certain things, female will do certain things. Right? For example, on the basis of sex, roles are assigned to male, female. That I hope you don't face any problem here. Differentiation means simply differences. Secondly, ranking. The differences in terms of attributes or these roles seldom remain objective. What will happen? Gradually, the comparison between these differences starts, results in the emergence of very vague, informal, unrecognized rank order. Remember guys, I'm talking about some comparisons will start over a period of time, right? So it won't remain just like that differences. After some time, some comparisons will start and some informal rank order will come into existence. At this point of time, it is not recognized totally by society, not formal, informal. This ranking essentially takes place at the individual level. Okay. Thirdly, evaluation. The rank order is further strengthened and formalized through the process of evaluation done at the cultural level. Slowly, so this is a key word here. Here, individual level, here, societal level, cultural level. Here it is at the micro level, this is at the macro level. Slowly, these individual comparisons forms part of the value system of the whole culture. At this level, due to cultural evaluation, rank order become formalized. The entire society tend to accept this. In our case, that male is superior, right? So the patriarchal society, that's what you mean by patriarchal value. Male is superior, male is desirable, and male is preferred. So it's almost accepted by society at this level, formalized and institutionalized. And this evaluation is then transmitted from one generation to the other through cultural reproduction. This finally results in strengthening the rank order in terms of value system. Then that forms part of the value system of the society. Okay? Now finally, rewarding. On the basis of differentiation, ranking and evaluation, hierarchical stratas are constructed. These stratifications are supported by the perpetuative mechanisms existing in societies. Apart from the cultural reproduction, a system of rewards and punishments privileges and disabilities are attached to these stratas. This helps not only in continuity of the strata but also in further strengthening the hierarchy. So I hope this is clear. I'll repeat once again quickly. We have discussed about differences. So differences are natural or social. I've given you the example for natural difference, social difference also. It will become inequality when values are attached. Values means superiority, inferiority, preferability, rejection, desirability, undesirability, etc. So it is impossible for a sociologist to study each and every inequality. So what we do? We will try to find the pattern of inequality. Then we can study, because patterns may repeat also. Right? So okay, so pattern of inequalities will become this is what I mean by stratification. So not all inequalities are stratification. What is required? Pattern is required. But all stratification is based on what? All stratification is based on some kind of inequality. All inequality will have difference, but not all difference will become inequality. I hope this is very clear. Difference become inequality when values are there. Inequality is if it is pattern stratification. Not all inequalities are stratification. What is required? Pattern. But all stratifications are based on some level of inequality. I hope this is clear, guys. So pattern is required, right? See, if you see even if your GS prelims question papers, what you will try to find, you cannot study each and every questions, right? For preparing for the next year. See, you are preparing for 2021. So what you will do? You will analyze 2020, 2019, 2018 question papers, right? For example, 2020 if you evaluate. What you will try to find is, so from history this was asked, biology this was asked, geography this was asked, polity this much was asked. So this is what you mean by, so there were some questions related to Karl Marx and all, right? This is out of pattern. So there is no pattern. This kind of questions if at all you need to do, what you need to do? Miscellaneous, right? So that's what you mean by pattern. You have to find a pattern. Then only you can study. So now you saw that polity this much question was asked. So you can study that next year. You can plan accordingly. Okay guys, any doubts here?